You know something amazing? If you want to create a creation, a story of some kind, you have the power to just make it exist. Yet at the same time, there's still sometimes roadblocks like writer's block or burnout and, annoying things like that. And sometimes taking a break is necessary, and it can be frustrating to get through all of those struggles, like wondering where to begin with your story creation thing, or like trying to figure out the like the ways you're going to go about creating it. If you're not sure of that, you might even be like struggling to find time or motivation, and those things can be frustrating. And sometimes it helps to take a break. Sometimes it helps to just try to relax and recalibrate your thoughts. Sometimes the idea will come to you of like suddenly you'll have this light bulb, you might have this light bulb moment where you're like, "Oh, I have an idea." Like, and it might help with the thing you were stumped on. It might not happen, but it might happen. Hopefully, you would be able to find a way to push through the struggle. Sometimes watching in immersing in consuming other creations can help inspire you, especially other creations made by people in the similar boat as you. Like, it can help, it can be inspiring. Hopefully it would be inspiring and not like overwhelming and like sometimes it's like, for example, you might watch an animation that somebody made, and it's really, and it's like, whoa, this thing's really cool, and it's like maybe this happened to me recently. It was inspiring, but then it also caused my motivation, inspiration to kind of like go into this overwhelming state where then I felt like I had a motivation crash where it was like, what happened? I was inspired, but then it overwhelmed me too much and it just crashed. And thankfully the feeling like stopped feeling that way, and it eventually went back to like normal like inspiration, which was really cool. In case you're wondering, it was this person, I think their name was like Blaze Animates or something, that made the Rise of Scourge series. I was watching that and it gave me like this really cool inspiration. I was like, "Whoa, this is cool. It's inspiring me." But then at some point it just caused me to go into a crash where it was like weird. It's like a sugar crash but with motivation. Like, you're so inspired that it starts overwhelming you because you're also, I think also what happened was like me thinking, how am I gonna make something like this? But that, and then it crashed into like a motivation crash. And then it was like, oh, come on. Because this was like, this happened like right after I think I was like, wasn't I like struggling for motivation or something? I was like struggling for motivation to work on stuff, and then watching that Rise of Scourge series actually helped me. But then it ended up, I got, also, please, I hope this doesn't come off like me, like, I'm not like, talking, I'm not giving shade to that series or anything. I hope it didn't come off like that. I'm just saying that I'm just recounting an anecdote or whatever the right term is. But yeah, I guess like part of what overwhelmed me was like wondering how the hell I was gonna like, because like obviously you don't have to reach a certain level for your creation to be cool and valid and stuff, but it's like sometimes when you see something that's like they do some like cool thing and you're like, I want to do something like that, and then that might be overwhelming because you might start wondering, how am I gonna do that? But then sometimes if you slow down and kind of like look at what they did and like break down how they did it, and you're like, actually this doesn't seem too hard. I mean, I would hopefully, I would hope that it would be not too hard anyway to like come at it with that kind of mindset. It also helped to think about, when I looked at it, it was like, actually this might not be too hard. And that's not me saying that it's like, less good or anything. It's more just like realizing that something cool they did is like more achievable than you realized. It's not about, oh, the thing is like less cool. Like, no, it's not like that. It's just like you realize it's not so hard. It's not the same thing. Like, something can be really cool while still not being too hard so to achieve. So So that's so yeah. But yeah, so that was a really weird thing that happened, a whole motivation crash thingy, but yeah, it also helps. Um, it also another thing that helps is like this is like I don't know if this is the right usage of this term, but like it could be like a double-edged sword where it might help, but it might also it might be discouraging, but I would hope that it would not be discouraging. If the thing was made by somebody younger than you, then you can be like, "Hey, if somebody did it at that age, then I could do it at my age." But like sometimes people might it depends on the person's like mindset because some people have a more pessimistic like kind of like discouraging like feeling where they might feel oh like they can do it and I can't but hopefully they would I would hope that people would be able to have a more positive like mindset of like being inspired by the fact that somebody younger did the thing because they're like hey that means I can do the thing if they did it when they were like 14, 15 or something then I can do it at the age of 24 for example. But yeah, sometimes when I watch things made by younger people, I like it makes me wish that I made more animations when I was younger. Like, it doesn't mean that I think it's like too late or anything. I'm a firm believer that, it's not too late if you start doing something later on. It doesn't mean it's like too late or anything. That's still valid to start later. It's just also like sometimes I like wish that I like did the thing earlier, like it's like I don't know, because it looks fun, even though it's still fun to do it at my age too. So it's not like, oh, it's only fun if you're a teenager. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's like when I see things made by people who are like teenagers or something, and I'm like, man, that looks so fun to like make an animation when you're a teenager, even though it's like, well, it's still fun to do it at a different age as well, though. So, it's not like it stops being fun at a certain point. Like, well, some people might start to find us something less fun, but that's not because of the age. That's just because like they might have just lost interest or something. But I always find it sad when people lose interest in something that they love, unless the thing they love is like, I don't know, like being hateful or something. Obviously, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like just like a fun, cool, harmless thing like art or something. Like, I always find it sad when that happens, but then it's like, well, I mean, obviously they're allowed to stop if they lost interest, so it's not like a, oh, how dare they or anything. It's more just a, oh, find it sad. Not like in a condescending way, like, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like, oh, it's sad that you, like, did like that. That's not what I meant. Obviously, I hope it didn't come off like that. I just mean like I guess I feel like sad when somebody loses interest in a thing that they love and it's like oh but it happens but like I just feel sad when it happens. What's weird though is like I hope this doesn't come off like condescending to say this, but sometimes when somebody like cancels a thing or stops doing a thing or cuts out something, I don't know, it just makes me like inspired to like not do that. If that I like feel worried that that might sound bad though, like that might sound like I'm like, like looking down on people who do that, which is not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not looking down on people for that. It's just like I just feel like sad when it happens. Like I'm just like, oh, that was a really cool like thing that got canceled or I don't know, was a scrapped concept or something. I don't know. Which I don't know, but like obviously, I'm not saying it's bad, like you're bad to do that or or like that, people are allowed to do those things. I'm just saying like I don't know, like sometimes you might get inspired. It might just be inspiring to like I don't know, strengthen your commitment to like working on your thing your like passion projects and stuff and like and all your awesome ideas that you want to make exist in a creation. And so it can be like an inspiring thing to like which I'm like paranoid that that sounds bad to say that though because I'm like I don't want to come off like it's like an insult to like the people that like to anyone who does the things that like you're inspired to not do the things. I don't want to come off like I'm like insulting them. So I'm hoping it's not coming off like that because you know it doesn't mean that you're thinking badly of them. It just means that like you might feel sad that like I don't know they stopped doing a thing So you're just like, or they decided not to do a thing, and you're just like, oh, I'm inspired to like to do the stuff I want to do, like double down on the stuff you were already inspired to do, if that makes any sense. I would hope that I'm making sense. I also hope that this recording won't cut off. I'm like paranoid if I stop the recording, is it gonna like please keep the whole thing? So, yeah, that's basically a thing where that happens where you can be inspired did I almost just say inspired? I don't know, inspired to like do something cool, but like you can also be inspired by seeing a thing that is really cool and you're like, "Whoa, I want to make something like that." It can be really cool and inspirational. Um but like sometimes it can be sad if the thing got canceled, like Rise of Scourge or SSS Warrior Cats. It can be sad because it's like, oh man, I wanted to see it continue, but like, you can still like enjoy. Obviously, that doesn't mean that you don't appreciate and enjoy what already exists, Of course, you can still enjoy and appreciate what exists of the thing while also simultaneously wishing that like the whole thing had been made and you got to see like more of what it had to offer and like you know but you can still like words but you can still like it doesn't mean that you're like unappreciating what already exists of the thing or anything. But yeah, like it can be so cool and inspirational to watch stuff. Also, another thing that's inspirational in general is the YouTube animated series community, which I really, really need to watch more stuff in that because there's so much stuff I haven't seen yet, which I really should. Because I'm only familiar with a handful of stuff right now. Obviously, those stuff are good too, so I'm not trying to say that it like, I'm not trying to say it's not enough or anything. That's not what I meant, you know. I hope it didn't come off like that. I'm just saying, I also need to watch the more too, because I'm sure the other stuff is also really cool, and I feel like I'm probably missing stuff because I haven't gotten around to watching other ones yet that much. But, but the ones I have seen are also really cool and inspirational. And yeah, like those stuff, it helps. Like, it's like this cool, like, kind of cycle of motivation where, like, people inspire each other. Um, to like go on with their creations, and then it's like this really cool thing. So I don't know if this is saying maximum, like I don't know if this is 2.5 minutes or 2.5 hours that it's saying. I don't know, there's a colon on both of them, so I don't know. Anyway, but that's not the point. The point is um yeah, so it's really inspirational to watch stuff that people have made and to be like, whoa, that's so cool that they made these cool things that they enjoy them, and it's like their passion project and it's like their creation. They can do what they want because it's their creation and they don't have to worry about corporate people going, oh, you're not allowed to do you're not allowed to do this thing because for some reason we don't like the thing that you're trying. I don't know, or like you also don't have to worry. I mean, obviously that's not insulting to like like obviously like official creations like are still cool as well. I'm not saying it's always about like corporate people yelling demands at them or anything. I'm just saying that's also a thing that sometimes happens, and they also don't have to worry about getting canceled because it's their own well, unless they like, I don't know, unless people try to cancel them. But that's not what that's not my point. But like they don't it's like their own control whether they make their own series like like they don't have to worry about people going, oh, sorry, even though you had all these cool ideas, your show is canceled now, so haha, you're not allowed to do any more than like 4 more episodes or something. I don't know. And then that could be really annoying because it's like, man, but I had all these cool ideas, like I really wanted to, like there was like gonna be this whole story arc where like all this cool stuff happened. Oh no, sorry, we're pulling the plug on your show now because reasons, blah de la la, haha, in your face. And it's like, wow, that's friendly. So it I'm not saying that always happens, I'm just saying that sometimes happens. which can be really annoying because it can be sometimes it's a case where like the thing's actually popular but they don't care. They're just like, oh, even though lots of people like this thing, for some reason I'm gonna pull the plug, because which doesn't make sense, because you'd think that if we're people who only care about money, but then even from that perspective we'd still be benefiting from letting the popular thing continue, but for some reason we're not going to, for some stupid reason, I don't know why. And then other times like it's like the thing is good but like it doesn't find the people fast enough, so it's like, oh haha, sorry, even though your thing has potential, we're just gonna cut the plug, and we and that kind of thing is also bad, because then it's like, sometimes you see videos talking about like why this show is screwed over by the network, and it's like, man, that must be terrible for that to happen to like a series, like, but yeah, but yeah, like if you're making your own series on the YouTube, and yes, I said it like that on purpose to be random and silly, then it's like, hey, it's your creation, and it's like also can be cool if you like collab with people as well, but it can also be cool if you're doing it yourself. Like I think either of those things is cool. Sometimes I want to like have like creations collab with people as well as like ones on my own. But yeah, hopefully at some point I'll get to do that as well. But yeah, like you get to make your own creations, and it's like, whoa, you have the power to decide what stuff happens in the storyline and put your thing out there, and then people can watch it and they like it. And then that moment when somebody like mentions that they like your thing, and it's like, wait, what? Wait, somebody just came up and like sometimes they comment, and it's like, whoa, that's really cool. And then sometimes you join a Discord server and some that for another person's series, and then somebody in the server comes along and they're like, hey, like are you the person who made the series that you made? It's like, oh my god, you are the person. I'm like, oh my, I didn't expect that, but thank you. That was like, and then somebody might draw fan art for you, and then it's like, what is happening? Somebody drew a fan art. That's really amazing. And it's like one of those things where it's like it's really amazing, and it actually gives you more inspiration, because that's what happened. Somebody gave me a fan art in the server, and I was like, oh my god, like it gave me more motivation, if I recall correctly. It like gave me like a boost of like motivation. And it's like times like that where it's like it's like one of those things where like obviously you already knew that people like, it's like you might have already known that people liked the thing you make, but then it's like moments like that where somebody draws a fan art where it kind of like, I don't know, like recalibrates your whole mindset, and it's like, whoa, people are invested. And it gives you that motivation, which is really amazing, and very much appreciated. But yeah, um, and and yeah, what else was I gonna say about creating stuff? You can make a creation, and it's kind of what something that's frustrating is when you love the thing you're making, but for some reason you're like, ugh, I'm having burnout. I don't why I don't I don't know. You're and then sometimes you need to take a break. Sometimes it helps to animate other stuff, or to take a break from animating in general, because sometimes like in the past like day or two, I've come to think like maybe if I make some videos that are not fully animated, that might help, because I feel like I'm like having a weird I feel like I might like be having a bit of animation burnout, maybe like the thought of like animating characters at the moment, or at least some characters at the moment, is making me think, oh geez, more animation. I'm like, maybe I should take a break. Maybe I should do like I still want to make videos, but maybe I should take a break from the animated ones. That's not to say that I'll stop doing them, though. It just means taking a break. It's two different things, of course. I don't know why I felt the need to clarify that. I don't know. I don't know, just in case anyone was worried, I guess. Or it's not like probably not gonna be like a super long break. I don't know. Anyway, it's like maybe like the thought of like drawing these characters is like, yes, that's cool, and then the thought of animating them is like, then that might be a sign that you might want to take a break from animating and maybe just make some videos where you can still make videos where it's not animated. Those are still really cool too, so it's not like something has to be animated. Like obviously it can be if you want to, but anyway, something else, that moment when you're making a series and you're kind of low-key incredibly sick of the episode you're working on, even though you still like it, you might also be sick of making it, and you might be like have these like bursts of excitement about other stuff coming up later in the series. It's like, man, I'm excited to get to these characters, but they don't show up for several more episodes. Then it's like, oh man, you can still make stuff with them though. Like, you can still make stuff with the characters. But it's just like, you might also be like, oh geez, how do I do this? I don't know. So yeah. Though it's really cool when you get those feelings about like creations of like when you're making creations and you're like excited about it, and it's like, man, that's so cool when that happens. Like you can just like make stuff exist. Like it's like you just think about it. Like you can just make a thing exist. I mean, I know it's not always so easy. Sometimes you have motivation troubles or troubles with time or finding the ability to do it. I mean, it doesn't make it impossible. It doesn't mean it's impossible, though. I'm just saying, I'm aware that there are sometimes obstacles. I'm just saying that, it's just a really cool thing to think about, is that, like, you have the power to make a creation exist. Like, sometimes you're like, man, I wish more people would do something like this. Then it's like, you might be able to. Maybe not always, because there's some things that I, like, think about that I'm like, oh, I wish someone would do this, but I don't feel like I have the ability to, or like, or I don't feel like I'm the best person to do the thing. But there's other cases where like you might be able to like do the thing. It depends on the person and like the things. Like, I guess it depends on if the person like sometimes the person is able to like make a really good like thing that matches what they're looking for. Other times they might feel like they're not the best person for it, which is fine. That's still valid. But I mean, it doesn't mean you can't try though, of course. But yeah, like it's also like this thing where sometimes you like wish that something existed and then you decide, I'll make it exist, and that thing is really cool. But yeah, it's also cool when people like make a series or like a story of creation of some kind, like and you're like, whoa, I made this thing exist. That's really cool. And sometimes I think about it and it's like, huh, I have the ability to make an animated series. And it's like one of those things where it's like I don't know how to describe it very well, but it's like you're thinking about it in and like sometimes I feel like I don't like, sometimes I'm just in this state where I'm just used to it, but then sometimes it's like, whoa, I have the ability to do that. That's so cool. I don't know how to describe it very well. Like, I don't know, this feeling of like, oh, I should think about it more often. I don't know how to describe it very well. Like the feeling of feeling like I should be, I don't know, more excited about it more often. I don't know if that makes sense, what I just said. I'm not sure. I'm not the best at describing things. Anyway, what else can I talk about? Because I wanted to do these videos. One of the other video types I want to do besides animating and besides animations and art stuff is I also wanted to well, this is still art stuff too, like videos talking about creative stuff, and finding that to be something that could be really interesting is hearing people talk and ramble about various stuff to do with creations, and especially around like YouTube animated series and stuff like that. I think that's a really cool, interesting topic to delve into. And I feel like it's like one of those cases where it's like, man, I wish there was more people that talked about it. And I'm like, I could be one of those people. Obviously still appreciating the other people that do that too, of course. But yeah, I just also want to make more talking. It's also this thing, and I'm like paranoid this will come off the wrong way. Seems to be a common thing with me, is that I'm always paranoid that something I say is going to come off the wrong way. When I sometimes when it's like I see people talk about like indie animation, but they're only talking about the big ones, like the ones that have like 1 million views or something, that which obviously I don't want to come off like saying bad about that, because those ones, I'm sure, I haven't actually seen them, but I'm sure that they're great too, so I'm not saying bad about them. It's just one of those things where it's like you wish they would also talk about and pay attention to the smaller stuff too. And by smaller, I'm not saying that small insignificant. I mean small you're just less known, less popular, but they're still really awesome and cool and inspirational and interesting, and you just, and it's and it's not any shade towards the bigger ones, or the people who only focus on the bigger ones. It's not any shade towards any of them, of course. It's just more this feeling of wishing that that more people would also talk about the lesser known ones. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's interesting because it's some of them are not even that they're still really popular, but it's they're popular in their circle. Like even if they have a lot of subscribers, a lot of views, they might still in the scheme of indie animation, they're still seen as smaller. What's also weird to me is why it seems is it just me, or do people have a bit of a skewed perception of what a small YouTuber is? I'm not saying this as an insult to anyone, I'm just saying that I've seen people say that they're small when they have 1,000, 10,000 or 100,000 or something, and I'm like, that's not small, that's a giant number, what are you talking about? I don't know. I'm not trying to insult anyone who says that, though. It just kind of it just feels weird to me. It's you do realize that that's actually pretty big, right? I don't know. It's it just kind of feels like people have a bit of a skewed perception of how small a small YouTuber is, or how big a small YouTuber is. Somebody on YouTube would be like, I'm not that big. I only have 20,000 subscribers. That's big. That's not small. What are you talking about? I don't know. It's this weird thing where it's maybe if you have that many, then maybe you're used to it, or you're just comparing yourself to the people who have 1 million or something. I don't know. Then again, I don't feel that big, even though my subscriber count is 900 and something. But the difference there, I think, is that most of those 900 people I don't actually hear from, so I don't I don't know. I'm not saying that in a bad way, though. I'm just saying, just because you're smaller, or you feel smaller, it doesn't mean that you don't appreciate the ones that are there. I want to make that clear. I don't want to come off I'm being all oh, well, that's not good enough. I'm not trying to be all like that, So I hope it doesn't come off like that, Of course, I wholeheartedly appreciate anyone, But yeah, I'm not saying that in a complaining way. I'm just saying it in a, giving a fact kind of way. I'm just saying that most of the 900 something people don't I don't see them interact with me. But that's not an insult, though. That's not me complaining. That's me just stating a thing, in a regular neutral way, not in any sort of bad way. So I hope I'm making sense. Do I have anything else to say? I might stop this recording soon, but this is the first in a new series. It's called Rocky's Random Rambles, or Triple R for short. I'm like paranoid. I'm like, oh, I hope it's not secretly an acronym that stands for anything bad because I'm paranoid like that. Anyway, um, but yeah, the idea with this series is to just randomly ramble about things that randomly ramble rockily. Okay, no, I don't know. I'm just being silly. Randomly ramble about stuff that I find interesting and that I hope other people will find interesting, and like involving creative stuff, mainly about creative stuff and creations and all that. And this one was kind of just randomly rambling about creative stuff and inspirational stuff and like various things to do with that. And hopefully I'll make more of these, and hopefully they'll be interesting. And hopefully I'm still paranoid about like some of the stuff me saying coming off the wrong way, even though I clarified. But yeah, um, but yes, I guess my brain is also thinking that I want to like talk about like various series um in depth, because I feel like I wish there were more videos that did that. That's not to unappreciate any that do that though, you know, of course. I'm just saying like I also wish there were more. But yeah, I was like thinking I want to do that, but I'm also like paranoid that like I don't know if what do I say? What do I say about them? Even though I probably do have stuff to say, but I might just get like nervous, like if I like start recording, then I'll get all nervous with like what to say or whatever, or like I'm also kind of paranoid that like if that um like somebody will like request a thing, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not sure what to say about, or something. I don't know if that makes sense. That's not me saying bad about, you know, anything that might get requested. I'm just saying, I don't know, I'm not really somebody who takes requests, because I'm like, I like to, like, it's just kind of overwhelming for me. I'm sorry, no offense. That's not an offense to anyone or anything that people were like wanting to hear about. I don't know. But yeah, we'll just see what happens with this Rocky's Random Rambles series thingamablah. So, I am Rocky Stone, and this is the end of the episode 1 of the rambling thing. Stay Rocky. No, I'm just kidding. What does that even? I don't know. Like, anyway, yeah.